Thank you for inviting me at the breakfast debate, together with the audience and fellow speakers, which gave an interesting and inspiring view at the projects. So my sincere compliments for their work so far. When asked to give a speech at the European Parliament, I was flattered and honored to do so. But before I get started, let me please introduce myself. My name is Jorin Aardoom. I'm 25 years old and I'm co-founder and CEO of Syneratio. Syneratio, short for synergy through rationality, is the 1 + 1 = 3 effect made possible by rational thinking and connecting. Is currently the world's leading virtual R&D platform, connecting researchers, students and companies to achieve brilliant innovations together. We are active in more than 30 countries already and are expanding rapidly since we were founded in the fall of 2012. Moreover, we've always been leading in our field since we were simply the only one. So we even have our own Chamber of Commerce category, a real pain in the A for those guys. Imagine registration was a lot of fun for us. Just like other research platforms, such as Mendeley, ResearchGate or Academia, you must have heard of them. We also have those millions of 100% free scientific validated papers and sufficient users in our databases. Yet the key difference at Syneratio is that we approach research as the end-to-end process of ideation towards valorization/implementation and organization of interest, like tech transfer. You might be familiar with it. It is therefore a platform with a wide spectrum of research acceleration tools, but the most promising USP, why our clients such as Royal Philips or a couple of universities are using or planning to use Syneratio collectively, the very unique selling point of Syneratio is the access to current research. Acceleration is perceived over the axis of those 50 million or something scientific papers, I didn't count them by myself, and proportional number of users, of course, pragmatic filtering and opportunities to connect with current research in progress of those fellow researchers at universities or R&D related departments at companies across the globe. A few examples if you'd like, so how does this really get going? This technology of ours translates to best practices such as Philips conducting open innovation and asking their lead users what applications could be thought of, for example, of their brand new Internet of Things lamp, you know, the light bulb with internet in it, for a grand prize of $100,000 for the best application. Or an example such as an organization, and this one was really cool, an organization in manufacturing toilet paper, working together with a manufacturer in glass jars of jam. They will never have collaborated together without us, of course. Achieving synergy through rationality using the matching algorithm of Syneratio resulted in fantastic unexpected results. When zoomed in at a corresponding and comparable level, both organizations, the toilet paper and the jam manufacturer, had too high levels of outbound logistics costs. That is, versus the used capacity of their 18 meters combination of trucks, which weren't filled optimally in terms of volume of the heavy glass jars. You might already know where I'm going with this one. The toilet paper manufacturer had the same problem, but vice versa. Yet toilet paper weighs almost nothing, so the volume capacity was fully used, yet the tonnage was not. Using the knowledge and connecting algorithm of Syneratio, so using the knowledge of the researcher, being implemented by students which have the capacity to use that knowledge at those organizations, such overlapping problems can be identified, and for those two organizations a significant percentage of outbound logistic costs was cut, resulting in a grand financial advantage over the years. Using Syneratio as a corporate institution can, within 1 year of actively using and browsing the platform, result in millions, truly millions of financial gains by simply opening up and collaborating with unexpected partners in the field. Of course, you have to open up first to conduct open innovation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what Syneratio is about. For more information about Syneratio or maybe opportunities for you in the audience, I have my business cards ready at my disposal at the table, but just give me a call. But I'm here as a startup. And as a new founded startup in 2012, so technically I am still a startup, My brother and I literally started in our attic and upgraded after half a year towards our conservatory. The design and programming of our web platform had begun, and this move towards our private conservatory was a very wise decision, and I'll explain why. Programmers and designers tend to somewhat lack the necessary hours in broad daylight before evolving towards the well-known pale, Red Bull addicted, monsters. They may only be disturbed in their work when offered pancakes or a Star Wars episode or something. So that was the first wise decision I made as a startup. But all jokes aside, we quickly moved to our first office, and after our launch in December 2014, we quickly grew from 1 to 2 and now 4 offices. And in the spring of 2016, we have planned to open subsidiary offices in India, Brazil, and the United States, solely focused on sales, marketing, and acquisition to rapidly expand even further. There are various challenges ahead, you can imagine. And I like to talk about challenges since the term problem arouses the wrong parts in the human brain, and we don't want that to be aroused. So in June of this year, a delegation of Americans, and I was very honored, among others the Deputy Secretary of Economic Affairs, visited Syneratio. They heard about our vision, mission statement, and view regarding our approach about research. Open innovation, open access publishing, and open data are things Americans, like we do, strongly believe in. This is a very different approach we do not seem to fully understand in Europe. Why is it? With all of our legislation, documentation, and honestly fair ideas to improve the startup and digital landscape in Europe, in the European Union, why is it that still the USA is called the land of opportunity? Silicon Valley and now also New York City are booming. Why? The answer is very simple. The answer is easy access to capital, also from governments. No other reason, simply money. It is good to have an EU startup manifesto, yes, and many influential people trying to figure out how to support startups best. Yes, so the first steps are made, and a milestone, as you mentioned, for a startup landscape is created. My compliments. But when we open up an office in the USA for ourselves, we will receive an initial subsidy of about $100,000 to $200,000, relatively compared to the EU, just because they believe in what we're doing. A little bit more on that, but relatively. Rather than in Europe having juries, consent of the Parliament, EC, time span of 24 months. Yes, that's 2 full years between handing over a pack of documents weighing more than a ton and receiving the initial grant. 2 years. It is even impossible to do so for us, since I was too young, 25. The organization is too young, 3 years old, and it was even mentioned impossible that we have created Syneratio all by ourselves. Still 100% of stocks in our hands. Strongly to discourage to file for a Horizon 2020 EU grant. Stated mission impossible for us. But an HBR study, backed by Quora, concluded that among unicorns, those companies valued more than $1 billion, the average and median age is 30 years old, where 70% of founders worldwide is below 35. Then why? Really, why is it impossible in Europe to have access to finance from governments and the European Union? I couldn't wait for 2 years to receive funds. I would have already died as a company. But in Europe, in my humble opinion, we are externally attributing and pointing towards each other with minor changes to our startup policy. That is good, the first milestones. But I think, and I strongly believe, that startups are the cornerstone of new, quick innovation in 2015. They are best helped with minor lead times to EU finance, which should also be open for radical innovations such as Syneratio, or maybe even Uber, Airbnb. What is it? Is it a hotel chain, or it's very difficult. We simply cannot compete with the USA when we still want to categorize all startups with these lead times for European finance opportunities. There simply is a risk involved, and I think we should just embrace it as the Americans do. And I assure you that the whole EU will be startup capital for decades if we do so. We have all the ingredients ready at our disposal. Really, we have them in Europe. But we too at Syneratio are going to the USA, since the European startup landscape doesn't allow a real innovator to be directly financially supported. Let us all collaborate, sharpening the debate of how to help startups directly with access to finance. That's what they're struggling with. And Europe will be market leader for innovation when Horizon 2020 is finally reached. If you'd like, I can help you giving information how the world of startups are working from the inside. I've been there, of course I've made some mistake or things. And I am positive that the EU will grow towards being a major player in the field of startups and attracting young, talented entrepreneurs and skilled employees over time. Yet changes to the policy are, in my opinion, necessary. I thank you for your time and patience. Thanks for having me over.